Hi. I wanted to make this video today to tell you what I'm actually going to be doing with my life from now on. I've decided to join a small startup company called Renoster. And what our goal is basically to publicly and completely transparently review the world's forest carbon projects. Our goal is to make absolutely everything we do public. And thus, we're going to incentivize people to buy good carbon credits and incentivize good behavior in this industry. So the company name is Renoster, which is Afrikaans for rhino. Not to be confused for a certain missile company. So let me talk about what we're all about at first. One of the first things that we want to do is we want to tell people exactly how we review these carbon projects. There are a lot of people in this space already doing reviews of carbon projects, right? So how is there what are we doing different? Well, nobody out there really tells you how they're actually rating carbon projects. Can you imagine opening up a Consumer Reports and reading about car reviews and not actually knowing how they reviewed it? That's how the existing system works today. Reviewers out there, they'll give you a couple lines. They say, we test for additionality. What does that mean? What are you testing for? What are your thresholds? What are your actual tests? What models are you using to actually come across your data? This is important stuff. And so, one of the first things that you can actually find on our website is, an excruciating walkthrough of exactly how we review carbon projects. We've put together a many-page document that describes exactly every test and every model that we use to determine whether or not carbon projects are good and bad. And we're testing basically right now on 7 core concepts. Additionality, so justification. Baseline, what would have happened if the project didn't exist. Leakage, did the bad guys just go next door? Permanence, so are these credits actually going to be sequestered for a long time? Verification, so is there actually that much carbon in the forest? And then finally, we have basically a more qualitative assessment of co-benefits, and then we give a final score. So all of our projects actually get a final score that we think corresponds pretty well with the value of the credits. And so if I go to the Renoster website, I can actually click around and click over to the database, which is completely public, and actually view the scores that each project have gotten. Now, we've only got 2 posted right now. It takes a long time to actually review these things. But we're going to be populating this out, and our goal is to review every single carbon project out there. So we tell you our methods. We also tell you about what actually goes into our models. So we have a tree cover model. We need to know whether or not there's been deforestation. We have a fire risk model. A lot of our competitors out there in this space, they don't actually tell you what goes into their models or how it works. A lot of them just say they use AI. What is AI? I mean, is it deep learning? Is it a convolutional neural network? Is it just machine learning with a cutoff? Who knows? I mean, so, we want to go into excruciating detail. There are multiple paragraphs here about Landsat preprocessing alone. And this is really going to tell you everything you need to know about how we're actually making these assessments. And one thing that we're doing that I really love is we're telling you what our shortcomings are and what our future projects are. Nobody's got it right. I can tell you with 100% certainty, we are well ahead of the curve in terms of technology, right? Because I've gotten behind the scenes of all these other companies that are doing this. And most of them are using pretty simple stuff. But we're going to tell you exactly what we'd like to improve upon. We're going to tell you exactly, we are not that good right now at assessing the uncertainties of our tree cover model, right? This is something that we are working on and improving at this very moment. And so this is the level of transparency that we really need if we're going to trust anyone in this review space. Okay, so let's look at the actual reviews. Well, at a high level, we're going to tell you what we generally think the value of the credits are for these projects. If you click in, you can see that there's more going on, right? So, there's additionality scores and baseline scores and permanent scores. But if you really want, every single project that we review comes with a 30 to 40 minute in-depth review about how exactly these carbon projects work. And this is critical. I mean, you don't have to watch the whole thing, but if you want all of the information about what's going into this project and why it's good or why it's bad, it's all there. And the other thing that we have, if you click and download the full review, once again, public to absolutely everyone, you can actually get a many-page report on exactly what's going on in these projects, exactly where our scores come from, how, why we think something might be good or why we think something might be bad, where our final score came from, the formulas behind it. This is the level of radical transparency that is desperately needed in this ecosystem right now if it's going to really have an impact. So we've established why Elias thinks it's really important that the whole world know which projects are good and bad, right? Because, if we're going to solve climate change, we need to make sure that we're funneling money towards the right projects. A project that issues offsets that aren't valid, that's worse than doing nothing at all. That's writing pollution off the books that is still on the books. So how are we actually going to make money if we're making all of this stuff public? Well, there's a couple of different ways in which we're going about it. First, if you're a Renoster customer, you get advanced access to this stuff. So you get a 30 to 90 day window before we release any of our reviews to the public. And what that's actually going to tell you is which projects to invest in before, it all goes public and these credits get snapped up. The other thing that's important is if you're a commodities trader or if you're just buying these credits to hold, you're going to be able to take advantage of this information before anybody else can. And so it's really an incentive to our customers to release this stuff to the public, because if you buy credits, you really want the value of those credits to go up over time. And so you really want all of this information to be made public. It's in your best interest as a consumer. So that's one way that we're actually going to make money off of this. The second thing that we're going to do, like I said, it takes a long time to actually review these projects. Our current capacity is probably like 3 to 5 projects a month. And so odds are, since there are like 600 projects out there, odds are we're not going to get around to the project that you are interested in if you're a corporate offsetter, unless you put it forward and ask us to review it. And so if you're a Renoster customer, you're actually going to be able to ask us to review the next project. You're going to be able to propose projects that get bumped up to the top of the list. And it's going to be like a jukebox situation. And so in this way, we're able to make this stuff public. Our customers are actually benefiting from us making it public. We're going to have a bigger impact. We're going to funnel the money where it needs to go. And, hopefully we're going to incentivize good behavior in this field. So, we're just getting started here. Nobody knows who the hell we are. We haven't raised $100 million in Silicon Valley funding. We haven't given any keynote speeches at Davos. If you ask people in the carbon industry, most people either don't know our names or passionately loathe us. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because really what I see in the industry is everybody is afraid to speak up about what they think needs to happen. Most of the companies that are going out there, they're really afraid to make definitive statements about the industry. And so all I see are a bunch of, nobody's talking like a human being. All I see are a bunch of like whitewashed PR, opinions. The only ones out there maybe are our carbon plan. They go out there and actually tell it how it is. So Renoster wants to be a thought leader. We don't just want to say which projects are good and bad. We want to actually propose solutions. And so we're going to be doing that in a very similar way to how I've been kind of doing these YouTube videos, but in a more positive light. And we want to be a part of the solution as well. So, our next step is to roll out a series of monitoring tools. So we're actually going to be able to monitor for deforestation if there is a project on an ongoing basis, give you high frequency reports, or, we could just monitor a forest that you're interested in general. We can also monitor for risk. We can run these very same algorithms. Eventually, we want to actually reform the system. I think it's really, really important that we get this right. A lot of people are dismissive of nature-based solutions, but they are the only solution that has been demonstrated to remove massive amounts of carbon from the atmosphere, gigaton levels. This is a solution that we can start with immediately. It's never the forests that are the problem. It's the people that are the problem. It's the existing protocols that are the problem. We have a system right now where your people are incentivized to put their thumb on the scale. But if we can incentivize the opposite, if we can make sure that people do it right, then this is how we're going to get things done. This is how we're going to make real impacts on climate change. So I'm passionate about this. Everyone else at Renoster is passionate about this. We're a deeply nerdy team, a deeply wonky team. You maybe haven't heard of any of us, but we're going to get out there and hopefully we're going to have a bit of a splash, even if we're not the biggest players on the field right now.